So today I'm going to do an unboxing and a little review or tabletop of the Holosun SCS red dot. Actually, this is a green dot. And then show how to mount it on a Glock Gen5 G19 MOS. So the Gen5 G19 MOS comes with a set of 4 different plates to mount an assortment of different dots on it, but I like to, wherever possible, mount directly to the slide because it stays lower and there's less stress points. So there's less sets of screws and less connections to be stressed under recoil and potentially break off. So that's where this dot actually comes in. For the Gen5 MOS, this actually mounts directly to the slide, and it stays low enough that you can use the stock sights to co-witness with. So there's no plate in between. The sight's low enough that you can co-witness with the standard Glock height sights. And something else about this dot is that it's actually got a internal battery. So there's no battery. This has an internal battery and a solar panel on the back, which we'll see here in a second, that keeps this battery charged up. And supposedly there's about a 20,000 hour life on the battery before it needs to be recharged, and that any light, from artificial light to sunlight, can recharge this battery, and that it recharges faster than it drains. So the actual intake of the charge surpasses whatever is being expended by keeping the dot on. So go over the specs on this dot real quick. This is a Holosun green reticle. It has the same Holosun kind of multi-reticle pattern. You can have a 2 MOA dot, a 32 MOA circle, or you can have the 2 MOA dot inside the 32 MOA circle. So like I said, it's a green dot. It is waterproof. The waterproof rating is IP67, so I think that's the one that can be submerged for like 30 minutes or something like that. And of course, it's parallax free. There's no magnification on this, and it, like it says, it's an ultra low, and it mounts to the MOS. This doesn't have any brightness settings. It has automatic brightness, and I'm not sure how that works. I haven't actually tested this dot yet. There'll be a video coming up where I actually do some testing, but there's no manual adjustment of the brightness. There are photo sensors on the back and on the front of this dot that sense the ambient light in the same spot that the gun is in, plus downrange. So one of the problems with these auto adjusting dots like the RMRs from Trigicon that auto adjust is that, from what I've seen, downrange, let's say you're in a dark room and you're shooting out through a window into bright sunlight, there's a possibility that the dot doesn't adjust and it's too dim to see outside with it in the bright sunlight through the window. This is supposed to take care of that, but I don't know. We'll have to see. There is a button on there that you can override the auto brightness for, I think, 30 minutes. So there's one button on this thing. It turns it on, cycles through the reticles, turns it off. Or if you short press it, it turns it on to max brightness or something like that for 30 minutes. It overrides the manual, the automatic adjustment. So let's go ahead and look at the dot. Just like all the Holosuns, you get your cleaning cloth, little card, get your instructions that I've already opened because I read the instructions. And you get 2 screws. It'll probably hook the dot to the, hopefully hook the dot to the slide. Hopefully they're the right ones. You get your normal tool that has the flat end to adjust your windage and elevation, and the actual end that fits those screws to bolt it down to your slide. And then finally, the dot. So there's not as much in here as there are in some of the other Holosun packages, right? So here's the dot. As you can see, there's no buttons on the side. There's no battery compartment. There's your windage, and then your elevation. And you can see right here, there's where on some of the other Holosuns, there's a solar panel at the top here that either keeps the Holosun running longer in normal lighting conditions and only uses the battery in dark conditions where there's no light, or to recharge the battery. Some of them actually already have internal batteries, but this one just has the internal battery, and it has the solar charger here. And I can't see the sensor, but I'm told there's a sensor in the front as well to do downrange lighting analysis to see how bright it should be for downrange. So we'll have to see if that actually works. There's some serrations right here that match, or should match, the serrations on the slide on the Glock. And here's the one button for this red dot, or this dot right here. So let's go ahead and press that, turn it on. Can't get my finger in there. All right. So, let's see if you can see it. So I don't know how well you can see that, but that is the 32 MOA circle and the 2 MOA dot. I don't know how well that shows up in the camera. But I'm in the house, and it's plenty bright enough right there. So, and then if you press it again, it goes to just the dot. Let's see if you can see that. That's just the dot, the 2 MOA dot. And press it one more time. And press it one more time. It should turn off. Yep, and now it's off. So, the reason I got this, like I said, is I don't want to have a plate on my Gen5 MOS. I want to mount it directly to the slide. So I carry my current Glock in this holster from Crossbreed, and this fits this Glock obviously too, but it doesn't fit with the optic. You can't really see. There you can see it. The optic wouldn't fit if I used this holster. So I'm going to the holster first, and then we'll mount the dot on the handgun. So I got this Crossbreed holster, which is an inside the waistband or outside the waistband. It actually came with the wings to hook to it, so you could use this as an outside the waistband holster as well. This, see the difference? That actually lets the whole entire, you can see the whole entire optics plate there. So that'll let the dot fit perfectly in this holster. So this is the new holster that I'm going to carry this handgun in. All right, so the first thing that you do is you make sure that your gun's unloaded. And I've already ejected the magazine. Check, make sure there's no ammunition in the handgun. Remove the slide. This will make it easier to mount the dot. And I'm going to take out the recoil spring and guide rod and the barrel. Alright, so I'm going to adjust the camera to where you can kind of get a better look at this. Alright, so the first thing that you do now after you have your slide off is you get one of your wife's nice clean white towels and put that down to catch all the oil that you might leak on whatever table you're using. She'll really appreciate that. And the next thing that you do is you get a T10 Torx bit. And the one that comes in the Holosun box actually feels like it fits, but this is plastic and I don't want to strip that out, so I'm not going to use that for this. I want to strip out the screws. So, and you take the two screws, two Torx screws out of the top of the slide. And your plate comes off. And this plate is actually feels like it's plastic, but it's pretty thick plastic, so I don't have any doubt that if you decide not to put an optic on here, that this plate will last for a while. It's not going to break. Then, now that you have the plate off, you can clean this with some alcohol, which I'll do. So you can either use alcohol on a Q-tip, or you can actually just use an alcohol wipe, and that's what I'm going to use, is just an alcohol wipe. And kind of clean off any oil, excess oil that might have come out through here, because you don't want it to interfere with the optic mounting, making it slide, making anything loosen up. Get in little holes, and then just kind of let it air dry, and do the same thing to the back of the optic, pretty much where the screw holes are. Okay, and let that air dry as well, which I didn't use that much, so it doesn't take too long. Then this should just sit right on there. Wow, and it really just slides. It's very tight. It really slides right in there perfectly. So that's what it's going to look like. And if you can look through there, you can actually see the front sight blade through there, even with the standard sights, so that works perfectly like it's supposed to be able to co-witness. Move these screws out of the way so I don't lose them. And we're just gonna put the screws that came with the Holosun. I'm going to go ahead and put those on there. And you can put some Loctite on the ends of these if you want. Put the blue Loctite on there. I might come back and do that, but I don't know where I put my tube of blue Loctite. So for right now, I'm just going to mount these up. I'm going to use the plastic supplied driver that came with the Holosun. I'm not going to tighten them down too tight just yet, because I'm going to go ahead and get them both in there and tighten them down equally. So I wouldn't put in one and wrench it down. I would get them both in, get them both started, then kind of go back and forth with them being flush. And be careful with this wrench, because this screwdriver here, this Torx bit, because it's plastic and it's probably made to strip the head of this off before you strip the actual screws out, which is a good idea. If you have a actual inch-pound torque wrench, you could do these down to 15 inch-pounds. I have a Vortex torque wrench. I'll probably come back through here and do that after I get done with this, but just for the sake of the speed of the video. So that's on. Go ahead and reassemble the firearm now, which is as easy as putting the barrel back in, putting the recoil spring guide rod assembly back in, making sure that's in there correctly. And putting that back on. Didn't fly off. So that's what it looks like, and as you can see, it does work actually. These the serrations in the slide actually match the serrations on the optic. So that looks pretty good actually. Doesn't match it perfectly, but they're close. And this is low enough to be able to co-witness right out of the box. Turn the dot on. That's the 2 MOA dot and 32 MOA circle. Supposedly the sight is approximately sighted in for 25 yards with the MOS firearm, but that's going to need some fine tuning based on the ammunition that you're using, obviously where you're using the gun and which gun you have, right? Because this fits on all of the MOS firearms, so the barrel lengths are different, so you're going to get different velocities out of the ammunition. So if you had the same ammunition, the velocities are going to be different. You actually need to sight it in for the gun, so there's going to need to be some tweaking done there. Like I said, the battery life is supposed to be 20,000 hours from fully charged, and so that's over 2 years, right? And the internal battery at some point in time will stop charging. We all know that's going to happen, but Holosun is saying that that's about 10 years. So this sight should last 10 years. At the end of the 10 years, you can pull it off and put another one on. But by that time, you'll probably be shooting a different firearm anyway. So, well, maybe not. This is a Glock, right? You might still be using this 10 years from now easily. But that's the point. The optic will probably never go dead as long as it gets some kind of light, and it's going to get light sitting on the nightstand. It's going to get light when you carry it, just ambient light. So it's not going to go dead. I've heard a couple of people that said they had these, and they leave these things in their safe and they leave them turned on, and they can't kill them. They sit there for a week or whatever. But as far as if you carry this every day and if it sits on your nightstand, it'll probably never go dead. We'll have to see how durable it is, because it is new to me. I can't vouch for the durability of this sight. and I can't vouch for how long the battery's going to last. Nobody's had it for 10 years yet. It hasn't been out that long. So that remains to be seen, I suppose. But it was really easy to mount it, and it looks really good on the gun. It does what it's supposed to do as far as being able to co-witness. And if this does work like it's supposed to, there's never a worry about your battery being dead when you actually need it. And you can turn it off. So if you put the gun away, you can turn it off so that it doesn't drain any faster, right? Also, if you put it in a dark safe, let's say, and it is still on, it's going to adjust down probably to the lowest setting, which means it's going to be taking up even less, the bare minimum amount of charge, because it's going to be in a completely dark space, right? So the automatic adjustment is going to lower it down to as low as it can get. So that's good as well. It'll take less juice at that point. So right now, just holding it in my hand, I like it. We'll have to see what happens, and without flagging myself or the camera for everybody here at YouTube, you can see that the glass sits right at the level of the slide. So this is flush. So that's the height of it. So if you like these kind of videos, do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And if you have any questions about this dot, let me know. I'll do a follow-up review when I actually get to shoot it and when I've had some more time with it to see if I can actually kill it. Supposedly it blinks. That's something I forgot to say. There are multiple different blinking patterns as it gets, 20, 30%, 20%, 10% charge. The reticle blinks at different intervals to let you know that it needs to be charged. And by needing to be charged, you'd probably just leave it out on your nightstand with the light on. That could do it in the house. So if you are interested in the follow-up to this dot after I get to shoot it and use it a little bit, or if you just like videos like this, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my channel. So thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day.